Hey guys, alright, so I'm out in the shop this morning and I've got the base flipped upside down. I've got it resting on the ways and on top of 4 123 blocks. I've got the indicator just touching the way on the bottom, and I'm going around and checking each corner and the center just to see how parallel it is from one side to the other and what the distances are. I'm actually pretty impressed with what I've saw. This corner here, which is the left front, was actually, I set the indicator up there, so that's 0. In the center right here, I am about 3/10. I made a little chart here. Let me see if I can get this in the camera. There we go. Made a little chart here. I'm 3/10 in the center, 2/10 on the back left corner, and on the other side, the back left corner, or excuse me, the back right corner, I'm 0.00025. Very good there. In the center, I'm 0.0004. So about a 1/10 difference between the center here and there. And then the right front, I am minus 0.0002. Now, I expected this to be this way because this corner over here is not actually touching the 123 block. I'm able to slide it in and out without any issue. If I take and slide a piece of aluminum foil on top of the 123 block and try to slide it in, it's tight. Now this is about 1/1000th of an inch, this piece of aluminum foil. So I know that there's a slight twist like this in the base. So that's good to know that information. Once I bolt this down to the stand, that may pull that back down, or push it up, I should say. But what I want to do is, I've jotted down all these measurements. Really happy with these. I was expecting a few thousandths of an inch. By only having a few tenths, I'm really happy. I want to also indicate these corners and see how close they are. I expect this corner over here to be high because it is twisted, as I said before. So what I want to do now is I want to get the indicator set up and check those corners. Alright, well now I've got the indicator set up for the top edge of the base. This does look like it was surfaced, but not very well. In fact, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it doesn't look like it was done really well. So anyways, let me show you what I've got here. I've got my indicator, and we're set on 0. So it's 0 here, it's 0 here, and so I kind of go around the corner here, and we're about 9/10. Let me see if I can get a good angle here. Maybe 1/1000, 9/10 there. That's right on the corner. Then it comes back out to 0 here on the edge. So the corner dips down about 1/1000, let's just say. It's 0 across here. This corner over here I checked. Now this is the corner that I thought was pushed up because of the twist. It's down about 1/1000 as well. So looks like those front two corners are about 1/1000 low. Now if I come over to the back here, we're on 0. So if you can see that. And if I go around, 0. 0 here. Get toward the middle here. Still staying close to 0. Then we start to dip down a couple of thousandths. That's 1.5 thou there. 0.0019. About 2 thousandths there. 1.5 thousandths there. 0.0012 there, it looks like. So this corner here is actually the lowest corner. It's a couple of thousandths. This corner is about a thousandth, and 0. So I think I have to keep that in mind. Once I go to mount this, I'll need to definitely shim these corners in order to keep this with the same dimensions that I ended up with when I checked it, which is about a few tenths. As long as I can do that, I think we'll be good. Another thing I want to do is I want to flip this over now. I want to rest it on the base. I want to mount the column, because mounting the column to the base may cause this to flex and twist and distort. So Chris pointed that out, so I'll do that, check that and see where I'm at on that, and decide how I want to proceed. I'm really impressed. It's not worse than it is. I was expecting it to be a few thousandths out, so I'm pretty satisfied with where it's at right now. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to mount the column and see what kind of distortion I get with the column being mounted to the base, and then we'll see where we're going to go from there. Well, I've got the base flipped back over, and I'm just running the indicator along this edge here to check it. We are currently sitting on the base, and I know that the base, from the measurements I took earlier, the corners seem to be a little low. Having it sit flat down on the surface plate, there's no rocking. What I want to do now is just take and run the indicator along here and show you what I've got. See if I can get it focused where you can see it, but when we get towards the back here, you can see we get out a few thousandths, or excuse me, a few tenths, about 6 tenths there. But let me show you something. This is where the column mounts, and this is where the spindle head and all that weight's going to be on there. If I just barely push down on this, put a little pressure on this, you can see that the needle goes right back to 0. I'm thinking once the weight of the column, the head, and everything gets back down, that's going to flatten right out. This particular base has this notch along the bottom, and it stops about right here, which is up under this bolt hole. Now, it doesn't really make much sense. It seems like this should have came at least over to here, but you're going to be bolting it down there, which is going to be pulling this down along with the weight of all your head, motor, column, all that. So this is definitely going to get pushed down. If I were to take material out here, then once this gets all bolted together and pushed down, it's going to be low there. So, and I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this to get that needle to move. Now, if I put pressure up here in the front, you can see that nothing happens because of the way that base is completely touching all the way around the front. So I want to make sure I check everything before I decide how I want to proceed. I'm really happy with the tolerances that we've got right here. I mean, it's pretty much flat until we get to about right here. It starts to creep. and then right here it gets higher. So from about the last 3 inches right here, it gets a little high, but as soon as you put a little pressure on there, it goes right down. And I think it's just got a little bit of a bow in the base here. I want to check the other side, get the column mounted on here, and then see where I'm at. Alright, now I'm on the other side, and I'm just checking this side just to see where we're at. It's going to be upside down, but hopefully you can read it. Looks like it's a little bit low. A little bit low there in the center. A few tenths, maybe 3 or 4 tenths low right here in the center. So we did realize that when we were checking it upside down that it did have a little bit of a twist in it. So maybe that's why this side's a little high, the way it's twisted. I just really need to get the column bolted on here now that we've got a baseline of where we're at. I'll jot those notes down with those readings. We'll get this bolted on there, and then we'll see what effects the column mounted has on the base. Alright, well, I've got the column just sitting on the base. These bolts are not tight yet. I just want to see what the weight of the column on the base, what effect it has on the ways. I have set my indicator up over here on 0. Okay, and we can see it's about 5 tenths low here. I'm going to have to turn the camera here. But back here where it was high, we can see it's no longer high now, just from the weight. Just from the weight of the column, you can see that it changes. Now it's back to 0. So that's kind of the way I figured it was going to do. Now this column weighs 68 pounds. So just the weight of the column without these being tightened down has pushed this down enough. I knew it wasn't very much pressure, but now what I want to do is I want to tighten this column down and see what kind of effects having it bolted down is going to have on the whole base. Okay, I also want to check, before I bolt it down, I want to check the back side and see where we're at. We're a couple of tenths right here in this corner. But it looks pretty good all the way around. Alright, I've got the column mounted on here, and I've went along and checked both sides. You can see that the column being mounted, I don't know if you can see that or not, brought that back to around 0. Just mounting the column took whatever twist was in there out and also brought it back to 0. In the center it's about 6-7 tenths low, and then it goes back up to 0 on the end. The opposite side is similar. It drops down low and the two ends are up. Let me see, what was that? It's about 2 tenths here and about 7 tenths here high. Let me double check it. You can see we're on 0 in the center, about 7/10 there, and about 2/10 here on the end. And that is the difference between this side and this side. The whole thing is flat within 1/1000th of an inch all the way around, so feeling pretty good about that. Now, one thing I wanted to kind of demonstrate is the flexibility that all these different castings have. If I grab the column here and just kind of pull it forward or push it back, you can see how much flexibility we have here. 1/1000th's easy, and that's just with me just pulling slightly and pushing back slightly. So there's definitely a lot of flex going on in the casting. I need to try to figure out a way to stiffen that up, maybe some kind of brace underneath. I'll have to take into consideration the ball screw. Epoxy fill would probably help that. However, with these small Chinese mills, you're not going to get rid of all this flexibility. You can try to reduce it, but I don't think you're ever going to get rid of all of it. Now that I've got a good baseline on all the readings for the base with the column mounted, I know it's going to change even more when I get the additional weight of the spindle, the head. That's going to be 150 pounds thereabouts with the motor and all that, so it's definitely going to flex this a little bit. I need to try to come up with a good way to see if I can't stiffen that up, and then also some epoxy fill. I may be able to put some kind of ribbing in there in addition to the epoxy fill, and that will help kind of just strengthen the whole base. Okay, so for this video, that wraps that up. This will give you a good indication of what you can expect, or at least something to kind of compare your machine to if you decide to tear it down and check out your castings and see how flat they are. I have to say that I was overall within 1/1000th of an inch all the way around is pretty good. The highest I got was about 8/10 was the highest reading I got, and of course you move it just a little bit and that's going to change, so you have to keep that in mind. I think the additional rails, bolting that down, is going to add some stiffness to the whole base. So we'll do more checks as we go along and progress through the assembly. We'll just check as we go and make any kind of corrections we can as we move along. May have to come through here and shim this. At this time I'm not willing to scrape the ways because that might have an adverse effect further on down the assembly. Alright guys, well that wraps up this video. In the next video we will get the table up on the surface plate. We'll go through the same procedure and check it out, annotate all the measurements I get there so that we'll have a baseline when we're moving forward. Special thanks for all the technical advice from my buddies on Skype. Thanks Chris, Wyatt, Graham. Special thanks to Cliff for his input. Thank you guys for watching the video. Thumbs up if you like the video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to comment. Thanks for watching the video, and most importantly, be safe.